You're listening to a MonkeyBuns Production.
Welcome. It's the Alfmeister General here. Hello. Also known as Alfie. Alfie Pod's Fantasy Footy. It's no coincidence that I'm here, and it's no coincidence that you're here. So hello and welcome. Hope you all had a lovely, lovely game week 10. It's now December. The pubs are about to reopen again for most people. Sorry if that's not you. I, for one, will be enjoying a beer with a substantial meal, also known as a Guinness. So game week 11 coming up. I don't know what your game week 10 was like. Mine was disappointing. 42 points. Football's all about margins. Richarlison had a goal chalked out. And I had Robertson at the back. We all know about Robertson, that clean sheet, and also that assist that disappeared. And I've been banking a lot of duos. So Everton duo of Richarlison and DCL, Liverpool duo of Salah and Jota, who I bought in both of those. Also brought in Fofana as well. So I took a hit, but I did at least make the points back and some. So I brought points into my team. So that's the positive way of looking at it, if you can. But I didn't go for any City players, you see. I thought I'd buck the trend just in case. I don't know. I just, Pep and me and fantasy football, we just don't get on. What can I say? So joining me today on Will I Beat Magnus? That's the show you tune into, the FPL exclusive show. Of course, joined by Top Marx, a.k.a. Will. We've got Matt, Bowstring The Carp. And, of course, Jordie Van Der Laan, the Dutch footballer, is back from holiday from Curacao. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Holiday? Who goes on holiday during a pandemic? Well, apparently, Dutch people do. They're just so cool. That wasn't a Dutch voice, was it? I'll work on that. Hot potato. There you go. So we're going to talk about, we're going to touch upon the Man City Fulham game. Man City, is this a turning point for them? I know they had a disappointing result in the Champions League. Chelsea versus Leeds. We talk about the North London derby. Of course, it's North London derby this weekend. Arsenal versus Spurs. Looking pretty one-sided at the moment, doesn't it? And we're going to talk about Bruno Fernandes of Man United fame. He's a contentious issue for many of my guests on the show. Might be time to bite the bullet. Who knows? Okay, good. Right, I'll stop talking. Let's get on with it. FPL, I wanna be champion. Or at least I'm gonna be top 10. Now there's this guy who plays the best at chess. If I beat him, that's relative success. Dig it down now! Will I be Magnus? Or is this madness? Will I be Magnus? I got to know, I got to beat that Magnus. Hello everyone. Jordie, you're fresh back from holiday. It's good to have you back, mate. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Had a fresh holiday, but I had a poor game week.
Where did you go?
I went to Curacao. You call it also Curacao, or you...
Yes. Yeah, is that right near Peckham, or is that a bit further afield?
It's close by.
That's good enough. Also joining me today is the wonderful Will, who's still in Colombia. Hi, Will. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very disappointed Jordie didn't come over because he was close by in the Dutch Antilles, and he didn't come over and say hello in Colombia.
Yeah, otherwise I had to do another test and be in quarantine for a couple of days. It's
there's
excuses.
Yeah. Using the corona as an excuse. Yeah, fair enough.
I was too busy laying on the beach.
By the way, have you all read my article?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen it, mate. Did you post it?
I posted it in the group and in the WhatsApp chat, and you liked it on Twitter, Alfie.
Oh, did I? Oh, was this the week?
Jesus Christ! This is the best article I've ever written. There's loads of talking points in there, and none of you have read it.
Did I retweet it?
Can we start this again in like 10 minutes? We've all actually bothered to go.
No. We'll talk about your article.
I'll definitely give it a read.
Okay, good. And also Matt. Matt joins us all the way from, you've guessed it, Ireland. Hi, Matt.
Exotic Ireland, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You've been lying on the beach, Matt?
Yeah. We've no sand on our beach. It's just really jagged rock, so not as comfortable to lie on.
So let's get straight into the game weeks then. Matt, famously, you did your wild card. You had your wild card. You were going through a rough patch. You saved your wild card. You used your wild card. How did it go?
Yeah, well, pretty good. I'm happy overall. There's a few little small problems which I kind of anticipated. If any more fixtures,
did you?
Yeah, decent. Yeah, I'm not complaining, but it started off really well with the opportunities to do even better, and then Sunday and Monday were just disastrous. So like my hopes were like up here, and then it just went back down to like it went from brilliant down to great. So like overall I can't complain, but when you have that kind of, when you get that bit of feeling and that bit of hope that you're gonna just smash it and just see like a 400,000 rank jump, and it kind of doesn't go as well as you were expecting, it's a little bit disappointing. But overall, look, I'm happy enough.
How many points did you get?
Yeah, I got 62. Sorry, 62. I was really happy with my goalkeeper choice. Johnson got an 11-pointer. Granted, it was very, very lucky. What do you call it? Who were they playing? Sheffield United had a bucket of chances. They did. There was like a sit or miss from about 5 yards out. There was, Ollie McBurney missed another good chance as well. But I was delighted. Obviously a lot of people kind of punted on Martinez off Aston Villa. That didn't really go too well last night, and now with the news now breaking that Aston Villa and Newcastle's game is going to be potentially called off, that's a bit of a bummer for anyone who went with Martinez. So
it could stay in the same game week.
Possibly, yes. Yeah, there is that possibility as well. Yeah.
Oh right, that's interesting. So Will, heard your voice then. How do you get in this game? I mean. Okay, so what's interesting, lads, is that when I set my going into game week 10, I heard voices in my head making decisions, and it's things that I learned from you guys. So I learned I was using shield or sword. That's a new one. So that's why I went for Salah, because I expected him to get 2 goals. And Will, I always hear your voice saying, get rid of the weak player, kill the weak. It was all right. I got 42 points, which is below average. You did a bit better, though, didn't you?
Well, I was very lucky. There were like 3 or 4, 5, 6 players I was contemplating. I really didn't know who to get. I had 4 players in the Chelsea-Tottenham game, which, as we talked about last week, we thought was going to be pretty close and a draw, and it was a draw. So I got rid of 2 Chelsea players for Vardy and Jota. And that was ultimately, one hit, but it was disappointed. Vardy only got an assist, but the hits paid off immediately. So that was good. But my team I'm just in a real, I've had 5 red arrows in the last 6 game weeks. So I feel like nothing's been terrible, but it needs to be better. And so although the hits I made paid off, and I've now got like over 5 million in the bank to improve my team, I really feel I'm struggling to I don't feel comfortable with my team. Don't feel happy with it. I don't know what to do to fix it. So I'm feeling a bit, I need some help, guys.
I think everyone's in the same boat at the moment. I think because things are up in the air, like what Matt says with the postponement and stuff. Jordie, you're close to me in the league. You also captain Salah like I did.
Yep, was a mistake.
Yeah, to be fair, it was unlucky because Klopp, for the first time in his career, decided to take Salah off in 60 minutes.
Yeah, but we could have guessed that because
he
wasn't training for 10 days. So he was already subbed off against Atalanta in the Champions League, I think, after 60 minutes. Actually, I was on captaining De Bruyne for the entire week, but then I knew I got burned by not having Salah last season away to Brighton. He scored 2, I think, and he got an assist. Yeah. And that was a week where lots of people, including myself, just got rid of him, I think, because something happened in the previous week. I don't know. I can't remember. But he was playing Brighton, and I thought, we will start. And in hindsight, I should have stuck to De Bruyne. It's easy to say because he got 4 points more. It's only a 4-point loss, but still 4 points. I got 51, like Will, also with a hit. Also paid for because I changed Ziyech and Barkley for Jota and De Bruyne. But I got I feel we got very lucky with Robertson.
That penalty.
Not only the penalty. The assist. It was offside by Mane more than a yard, I think. But if you give that penalty after a VAR decision, I was watching the game live, and I was like, are they really checking it?
Well, no one wanted it to be checked, did they?
The ball went outside, I think, for a throw-in, like 10, 15 seconds later. And every player stood still, and I was like, "Oh, they're checking something, not that penalty." I mean, everyone saw Welbeck walking 3 yards further and then lying down because he knew they didn't have the ball anymore. So I was like,
"You're not making life easier for us because I've got Robertson as well." So that was all part of my smug plan to not go for any City players, and it was going all right. Robertson looked good because Can we talk about City? Because the decision with City always seems to be which players to pick. Obviously, going to Burnley, we all agreed that they would spank Burnley 5-0. And do you know what? Surprise they did. But again, it's picking players. And that for me is a massive headache. And it turns out it was Mahrez. After all, like proper Scooby-Doo ending, there's a mask over the head with a question mark. Who's it going to be? It's Mahrez. There you go. So are we picking...
I remember myself saying when I was in Curacao, when we discussed the lineup, after the Olympiacos game, the first thing I said was, I can't see Mahrez starting. That was the first thing I said. So I was convinced Foden was going to start because he was man of the match against Olympiacos, scored the only goal. They were struggling scoring goals, and he's not tired from some games. I mean,
well, surely Benjamin Mendy making a comeback changes the system somewhat because that gives them that natural left-footed player to spread players. So doesn't Pep normally like someone on the left-hand side to cut inside if that's the case?
But Mendy started against Olympiacos and so did Foden.
Yeah.
So,
oh, did he? Oh, right, then shut up then, Alfie. Yeah. But Torres obviously got a goal as well, so it's another one that you could have picked at any point. But
he didn't play against Olympiacos, so I said to Matt when he uses wildcard, I think Torres is fairly secure for the weekend. But now it's another Pep roulette, I think.
Pep roulette. So does that mean we're all going Mahrez then?
I'm going to captain De Bruyne, most certainly, I think. I don't think he'll start tonight, but we'll find out in a couple of hours. And I still have Foden. Yeah, I'm just going to keep him.
It's a cheap price. Matt, Fulham, Man City have Fulham. We quite like Fulham, don't we? We think they're all right. And Guisa, he got his assist, but that's it now. It's gone, right?
Dried up, yeah.
Are Man City really going to steamroll Fulham like we think they are?
Well, I mean, we thought Leicester were going to, bang a few past them and, they really had to grind out and dig deep to get a goal in the end. They weren't really set up well, Leicester. I think Leicester's shortcomings was down to how they really set up rather than, not to discredit Fulham. Fulham played very, very well, but I don't think Leicester did themselves any favours. How they lined up and how they approached the game. Christian Fuchs and Dennis Pratt and even James Maddison, the three of them, kind of important players, all had stinkers they did. And I do think City are going to be a completely different beast, this week. I don't see City dropping clangers like Leicester did, again, but we have the same conundrum. Who's going to start? We talked about this, this time last week on the podcast. We said, we were talking about City form view fixtures. They historically spanked Burnley. We were saying, is it going to be a case that they turn it around against Burnley and get their goal scoring form back, which they did. But then we also discussed, who's going to be. I said, City could score 3 or 4 goals and, De Bruyne might blank or, someone might blank, Foden or Sterling. Sterling didn't play at all. Foden came on for an assist. And like you said, it turned out to be Mahrez was the star player in the end. So there's a real just kind of a gamble there when you take City players. I often talk about luck going against myself, from week to week for various reasons. Sometimes it's just part of the game. Other times it's bad refereeing decisions or whatever. But, I got a bit of luck this week with Sterling not playing. Had he come on for a 1-pointer, I think I would have been more disappointed. I got Souček off the bench who did, in the end, he did nothing but...
He's a goal threat though, isn't he?
Yeah, he had a good chance yesterday. I didn't watch the whole game. I got a bit annoyed at it coming into the second half after, Watkins' disaster class. So, Souček, he always seems to come up with a chance per game, a decent chance. Sadly, it wasn't his night, but, Yeah, I mean, Sterling could have coming on for 1 point. I know a lot of people captained them this week. So a lot of people tapped into, a good voice captain pick, which just goes to show to have a decent bench and a decent voice captain, especially around this time of year, because we just don't know what's around the corner, whether it's postponed games, players being rotated, rested, so just goes to show that other side of the game.
Will?
The FPL deadline has been changed to Saturday, just so you know.
Oh, that is, of course, because of the postponement to Villa against Newcastle, isn't it? Because of the Rona, as we're calling it. I'm not calling it that. Will, Man City against Fulham. Fulham defensively set up differently from Burnley. Burnley are more static, you could argue, so it could suit players like Mahrez. In fact, Mahrez, historically, against Burnley, has scored loads. We shouldn't be too surprised about that.
He scored each in his last 4 Premier League matches against, I think, 7 goals in the last 4 Premier League matches against Burnley. So there was always a chance. And, the last brace he got was in game week 30 plus last season, which was against Burnley. There were signs that he could do well against Burnley, which we all ignored.
Fulham are going to be a different proposition, though, surely. So we should be looking towards a different type of player to back for City.
I think it's interesting. So I didn't think it was surprising that Guardiola went for width against Burnley. So he's done that before. He did that in the League Cup with Torres playing and have had players playing on their natural sides against them. So I think width is his technique for beating a low block like Burnley. I think Fulham tend to play a more, although they were quite, they set up very well in a good defensive shape, but they also try to play more of a possession game and try and keep hold of the ball a bit more than Burnley. So I sort of wonder if he might do, as you'll know from having read my article, put the right back, so Cancelo or Zinchenko, as opposed to Mendy, who goes wide. They tend to come. Cancelo was basically alongside Rodri against Spurs at the base of midfield, putting an extra body in midfield to create imbalances in the midfield to win possession and keep possession and create opportunities in attack. So I think we might see a different approach against Fulham, and we might see. I think more likely Cancelo going to start, and hopefully Foden. Who knows?
And none of us have mentioned Jesus. Yeah, I noticed Matt has a Christmas tree in his background, so I'm guessing he's thinking. I mean, surely Jesus has started the last 3 games, 90 minutes. It's not coming off. Due a goal, surely. Due a goal. What do you reckon?
Well, I think I mentioned him last week. I asked you guys, should I get him in for Martial for a hit? But it was only in the end when we found out that Aguero had suffered a setback. When both Aguero and Jesus are fit to play or fit to be subbed on, I think it's very common that no one picks one of them because we all know Pep, and Jesus had played, I think, a couple of games before the international break. He played during the international break 2 games, I think, for Brazil. So I did even try to guess maybe Sterling would start up front when Aguero had suffered a setback. So that was for me the sign to not go for Jesus.
Hello, welcome back to the beach. Just a short interruption from me, just to tell you a few things. First of all, Will mentioned that top Marx, as he's known, that he did an article for Fantasy Football Scout website. Do go on there, do check it out. It's called Intelligent Cunts. Yes, I didn't say that wrong. It's Intelligent Cunts. And obviously it's bleeped out on the... You're not worried about that. But basically, undersells it really. It's about sort of Sacramento. I did put a post recently about Sacramento, how he's come from his Cardiff, working for Cardiff and South Wales University, all these things. But do read it, and it's about tactical exploitation and studying managers and how to exploit them. Secondly, keeping on the Fantasy Football Scout theme, I'm going to be doing some content for them for it's called their Fantasy... Oh, wow. It's a Scout Academy. It's called the Scout Academy, I believe. If I've got that wrong, I do apologise a million times. It's called the Scout Academy. You can check out the website. But I'm going to be doing stuff for their Instagram thing as well. So I'll be putting up a little video of 5 talking points. Check it out if you want. Or just go there. You don't have to watch it. Just do a like. That's all life is about these days, isn't it? Just do a like. Just pretend you've seen it. I don't do that, okay? I watch everything. Good. All right, then that's it. Let's get back. And people always ask me about my beach, whether it's, people like try to suggest that it's not a real beach. It's definitely a real beach. It's definitely real. I live on a beach on a desert island. Good. Glad to clear that up. Let's get back to the conversation. One player I do want to change maybe is Salah or Richarlison. And then Richarlison, I was thinking Jesus. Or if I was going to get rid of Salah, maybe a Chelsea player, because they got Leeds United. So either Ziyech or maybe Mason Mount might be better suited against the Leeds setup. I don't know. What do you reckon?
Well, I mean, as someone who has owned Mason Mount this season, it's, if you do decide to get him, be prepared to be a little bit frustrated. He's one of those players who either delivers when you're not expecting it or disappoints you when you're relying on him. But look, I didn't get to see Chelsea against Spurs. Mount is a decent player. I guess it depends on what his role is in the team and, on the given day. Sometimes he's a little bit deeper than you'd like. Other times he's kind of rushing into the box and he's getting involved, in the attacking and the build-up. Set pieces as well. I don't know if he's still on them or if he's been taking them recently. But, there's nothing wrong. I don't see any... I don't have any complaints about backing against teams like, Leeds, Villa, teams that are kind of at the bottom of the table who have been quite leaky since we've returned. Now, I think Will might have touched on it actually back at the start of the season where, some teams mightn't have had as big of a time frame to get their fitness up as other teams. So maybe now we are starting to see a little bit of a more cohesion at the back. Teams starting to find their chemistry between players and starting to gel a little bit better together. So maybe this is why we're starting to see some of the teams like Leeds and, Aston Villa and stuff becoming a little bit more cohesive. And maybe there's a shift towards the likes of Burnley. And we know they got smashed by City as was probably expected. But maybe other teams are starting to be, I don't want to say whipping boys, but maybe more targetable than teams that we thought, such as Leeds and Fulham and stuff like that. So yeah, that's also, something to look for. But we know Leeds are going to come out and they're going to play that open game every single time. It seems to be all they know. It's high paced. It's, it's always, I know against Everton, it was, if you just logged in and seen 1-0, you say, geez, that must have been a bit of a drab game. But how there wasn't 4 or 5 goals in it is beyond me. There was so many chances that weren't taken. And I think that's what we're going to see in Leeds games. Again, 0-0 against Arsenal, and they had buckets of chances. So it might be just a case of not being clinical enough at the moment. Bamford's stats are certainly looking good. Might be going under the radar for when their fixtures turn a little bit. But getting back to what you said, I think we were supposed to be talking about Chelsea assets against Leeds.
Yeah, but it's interesting because Everton, they like to concede goals, and Leeds only just squeezed 1 goal. But the Chelsea defence, you could argue the Chelsea defence is much more solid, and once teams admit they're not going to score, Chelsea can go on to trounce them, can't they? I mean,
yeah, you won't get many people arguing against the Chelsea defence being strong. They're, I think, since Mendy's come in, he's already kept the most clean sheets. He didn't play a game until game week 4 or 5, did he? I think you're talking about, Matt was saying about Leeds, they play such an open game, and that's exactly right. And, Meslier made 8 saves in the match against Everton. how Everton didn't score, I don't know. So I'm thinking players like Timo Werner, who was unlucky, offside narrowly against Spurs, but with a lovely finish. And he's frustrated, Werner. He's frustrated me because I keep captaining him. He keeps getting chances and not scoring. But I think he's finally, the Leeds game is going to be open, and then they follow Leeds with Everton. So I'm really, I'm just a sucker for punishment, but I'm really tempted to go Werner captain again because I just think, if he gets 2 or 3 chances, surely he's got to score twice. He's got to get a few goals now, doesn't he?
Well, if you're going to use my technique, he is due a goal. So it's
See, the problem
magical thinking. Yeah.
The problem with that logic is, everything makes sense there, what you've said, and then the game gets played, and Werner does nothing, and then just the kind of lazy picks all do fantastic as usual, and then the red arrows come in. So it's kind of like this season. It feels like doing a little bit of research. I'm not saying other people aren't doing research, but it seems like trying to go that extra mile, trying to get that edge, trying to get that player that, that do that little crafty move that others might be thinking about to kind of propel you up the ranks. It just doesn't seem to be working at all. Well, I found that anyway, trying to pick the clever captain, it just seems to constantly be backfiring. And then I'm not going to name any picks, but
I love it. I love the bitterness. It's great.
The standard kind of picks, the template pick, that everyone goes with. It's the shield pick. There's no incentive to go and get your sword. It's just get your shield, and that seems to be the trend I find this season.
But though you have to use your shield. This is what I'm learning. You have to use your shield when you have to use it. Right, to play safe, but I like going all out when my ball's out, basically. Jordie, you got.
Can you hear me again?
Yeah, was that you that made that noise?
Can I ask Will just one thing?
Yeah, go on.
Are you sure when I will start this weekend?
Well, thanks. That was the one comment I was going to make. Was Pulisic coming back is now a threat because Werner, even at Leipzig. And Havertz, I don't think he's a threat to Werner. I think Pulisic is a threat to Werner. I'm interested. Let's see what happens in the Champions League in midweek as well. But yes, Lampard has said in the past that if Werner needs a rest, Werner was left out of the team against Burnley. Really? Yeah, that is the concern. So we need to, great opportunities for Werner, but substitutions and not playing is obviously going to mean it doesn't matter at all if there's a great opportunity if he's not playing.
Yeah.
So, Jordie, Chelsea versus Leeds, is this where the points are at? Should I be focusing on Chelsea rather than Man City?
No, you shouldn't. I don't think you should. Also because I don't like Chelsea's fixtures from an attacking point of view after Leeds. So I just transferred out Ziyech, so there's your answer.
Oh, right. You've done that already this week?
Yeah, last week. I did it the previous game week. So, but with an eye, of course, on the fixtures to come. And I also think points will be too spread in the Chelsea attack. You got Ziyech. I transferred him out because I only had him for 2 game weeks. I was already reluctant to bring him in because I really like him as a player. I know him from Ajax, of course. But I think he lacks goal threat in the Premier League. He's able to give lots of assists, of course, but as an 8.3 midfielder, you expect some goals.
What do you think about the impact on Reece James? Because Ziyech and Reece James, Lampard's spoken about those two playing together, and I think doubling up on the Chelsea defence is a really good idea.
Yeah, I have James, of course, still since first game week. I was really happy when I found out I think he has secured his place more or less.
Yeah.
With Azpilicueta dropping in for the Champions League games, but I think with James, the difference between him and Chilwell is still the rotation threat. And over December, I think I'm a bit scared that there will be games where James will be left out, with Azpilicueta being a more than capable replacement. And I don't think Lampard trusts Emerson or Alonso enough. Are they still both there?
Emerson is, yeah.
Yeah. And it's what you say, of course. James is the connection between James and Ziyech is important for Lampard. So if Ziyech drops out, maybe James will too for some games.
Exactly. That's my thinking.
Oh, that's interesting. But for 5.5 million defender, James has been
5.0.
5.0.
Yeah.
He's been...
Well, I'm not thinking of getting rid of him.
No.
But I think the double up is too much. I don't know.
It's Chelsea, isn't it? It's Chelsea.
Yeah, but if...
that's the thing with James. It's not just the defensive potential; it's the attacking potential. He gets in so many crosses, so you you get the bonus of a clean sheet.
Yeah, but if you want assist from Reece James, you just have to wait for Lampard to put Giroud on, because I really dislike Tammy Abraham.
Yeah, he's
very bad. He doesn't get many goals from crosses, does he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's as I told you before, he's got a 50p head, hasn't he?
To be honest, I think if Lampard had started with Giroud against Spurs, I think they would have won the game.
I mean, you're a striker, Jordie. I mean,
Yeah.
so obviously you have a keen eye on watching other strikers to improve your game. And Giroud, I mean, I'm nowhere near your football capabilities, but for me, he'd be one. Well, we don't know; we've not seen each other on a pitch yet, but you know, the people might think that might be the case. But I mean, for me, Giroud is just such a great link player, fantastic in the air, strong, keeps defenders busy, players. And you think of all those Chelsea players that can just bounce off him. I don't know. Maybe it's just the energy thing.
I think his disadvantage is, what you say, maybe a bit of intensity, but also maybe a bit of. What I'm trying to say is that he's not that technical. He lacks a bit of technical ability when he has the ball. But that's everything, I think. I mean, what you say. He's a great link-up player. I would have preferred to see Giroud instead of Abraham when James is playing.
I mean, they're just not going to win shit with Tammy Abraham as a centre forward. They're just not, are they? Anyway, right, let's change the subject then. Yes.
You can listen on your phone. You can do it all night. Drop the podcast and get angry. Go outside and start a fight. But be careful with your captain and be careful with your life. Cause the football gonna get you right.
Oh, yeah, it's because it's the North London derby this weekend.
I've never been more confident, and I think this is a really bad sign, but I've never been more optimistic and confident going into a North London derby than I am about this one.
Wow.
Arsenal are terrible and Spurs are good, and it's decades. I don't think I've ever been able to say that in my lifetime before.
No, because normally the Arsenal like to spring a surprise, even if they're going against the grain in the league. And the Spurs are generally on top of the league. Arsenal like to spring a surprise, don't they? But it doesn't feel like it's coming this week.
It doesn't, no. They feel blunt in attack and profligate at the back. They've
scored 2 goals in 6 weeks, for Christ's sake. Come on.
Exactly.
They're not going to score.
I'm starting Sergio Reguilon. I start your Spurs defenders. I feel I really can't see anything apart from a Spurs win, which is just, I'm sure I'm going to end with egg on my face. But
well, surely it's 0-0. The other option is 0-0, isn't it? That's the other option.
It won't be a draw. This is a Spurs win easily.
So
okay, the other anything that isn't a Spurs win is a defeat. Basically, I'm not counting a draw as a draw.
So yeah, Matt, does that mean you're worried about the fact that you dropped Son and Kane in one foul swoop?
Yeah, like we talked about, it's kind of a risk assessment. You know, we discussed about how we looked at Spurs' next 3 fixtures. We saw Chelsea, maybe a low-scoring affair, maybe 1-1 at most. You know, Son and Kane didn't score any points. Again, against Arsenal, it could be tight. It's hard to know. Could be a 1-0 Spurs. It could be. These games are very, very hard to always call, I find. You know, there's sometimes tactics can go out the window. You like to think with Mourinho and Arteta that it's not going to be one of those games, that they're going to be quite rigid and stick to their game plan rather than letting emotions get the better of them in a derby game. But, you know, we know that Mourinho likes to fire up his team and, you know, get them really going. So I do think there'll be a bit of an edge to the game. Whether it'll affect the goal scoring ability, I don't know. But I'm still happy enough having lost Son and Kane. If I could get one of them, I'd want Son more than Kane, which I did say a couple of weeks ago. I'd be definitely more reluctant to lose Son. But yeah, look, I mean, the guys who I have in place of them, you know, you could say that I have KDB and Sterling in. Whether Sterling starts against Fulham, that's another issue. I've got Rashford there who, you know, got a bit fortunate with the assist in the end after making the balls of a one-on-one chance in United's game. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I'm still happy with my decision to lose the 2 Spurs players. In 2 weeks' time, I may be changing my tune. I may be looking to get them back depending on how Sterling's situation is, how Rashford can, you know, if he can deliver, if he can chip in with the United points, or if it's going to be between Bruno and Cavani, because Cavani's another one who's kind of up on the radar now. I don't think a lot of people are talking about him after after a fantastic cameo appearance, impact against Southampton.
It's an interesting one, United, isn't it? Lads, we need to talk about Bruno Fernandes.
No, we don't.
Hey guys, I'm going. I have to eat.
The man that Jordie, of course, cited that he'll never, ever put in his fantasy team. Bruno was a player that at the beginning of the season when people said to me, who would be your number one pick? It was definitely him because his points return per game is ridiculous. And then I've been watching recently and I'm thinking, not really sure. And obviously Jordie hates him, so that sort of swayed me a little bit as well. And it was also because you mentioned that for his price, you could get better value elsewhere, i.e. Rashford perhaps. But Will, his stats are improving, aren't they?
Yeah, his stats are improving. I mean, he's a conundrum in the sense that before this last 2 game weeks, no player has created more chances in the Premier League than Fernandes. But he's got 3 assists before the last couple of game weeks, which are all from counters, not from chances created against low blocks. So that's which was a bit contradictory in the sense that he progresses the ball up the pitch well, but Man United are not a risk-taking side in the way that they play. They don't try and make things happen in the same way that Chelsea or Liverpool or City do. So it's boring. So Fernandes has been lucky because he doesn't take that many shots. He doesn't take that many shots in the area. But that seems to have changed over the last couple of game weeks. Solskjaer mentioned it in, after one of the matches. He was talking about how he was really pleased with Fernandes as a leader, but he's not always in the positions he wants him to be in, i.e. in the box. And we've seen, so in the last, against Southampton, he had 6 shots, 3 of which were in the box. That's already an improvement. I think only Cavani had more shots in the box than Fernandes. And it was the same against West Brom, where he suddenly, he's had 4 shots and 2 of which are in the box. His penalty area touches are up a bit. So he's got 5 and 6 over the last 2 game weeks. And weirdly, his chance creation's gone down. So what are we to make of that? He's suddenly becoming a good asset, but it's just infuriating because if we'd known this was going to happen, that he was suddenly going to get more involved and get into the box more, then I probably would have got him. But I feel people have just got lucky because the stats weren't there. I mean, he is.
Yeah, what you're trying to say? If United weren't playing West Brom, nobody would have got him in. Nobody would have. Right?
Yeah. The fixture dictated why people got him in, didn't they? Yeah.
And because Salah had COVID and the Spurs were turning into a real poor fixture run.
And David Hughes forgot to referee. Forgot how to referee.
And I think
you've not mentioned that before, Matt.
West Brom were not as bad as people making out. West Brom are a relatively resilient team.
Yeah.
I mean, Man United only scored once against them. Everyone's expecting them to walk all over them. That was never going to happen. So again,
people thought it was going to happen.
They looked at the label of West Brom easy team without really thinking this is actually quite a compact, decent team. Yet Fernandes got the goal in the 1-0 win. So it's
hello listeners, we are 4 guys. We all didn't bring in Bruno Fernandes for the easy fixture against West Brom. And we're now all complaining.
So if we think back to kind of the 4th podcast we had this season, I think Alfie asked us all, are we thinking getting Bruno Fernandes? Do we think he's good value? And I mean, what was the starting price? Was it 10 million or 10.5?
10.5, I think.
10.5.
I mean, it was 10.5. And I think, I can only speak for myself. I was saying, he reminds me of just a more expensive Milivojevic. Now, that's not to say he doesn't create a lot of chances. He's a very creative player. He's a very, very good player. I'm not taking that away from him. But the question is, if United hadn't got their penalties, as many penalties, would you want them? If you could say, take away United's penalties, would you want him for that price? And I don't think he's that valuable. I don't think he's a good value pick. Now, other people will say, you can't discount
Hang on a minute. Jordie's dog does not like what you're saying.
He's a Bruno Fernandes and a Giroud fan.
I just muted myself.
Okay, Matt, carry on your point without fear.
You'll get people say, penalties are part of the game. You can't discount penalties. And that's fair enough, but I do think any other season, you can get away with having Rashford for $1 million less and be, doing on par with Fernandes, maybe at a few points deficit, but not these major swings we're seeing every week, where he's getting a penalty decision that shouldn't be and coming away from a game that should be a 0-0 draw with 11 points, and that's just a huge swing.
But
and
Matt,
then, like Rashford,
Matt, sorry to interrupt you, but we're missing a very big fundamental point here. Is that he plays for Manchester United. Man United have their own set of rules. They've always had their own set of rules ever since I was a kid, and they do get treated differently. I do feel.
Well, look, that's another topic for another day. When you want to have that? But
by the way, P.S. I
is,
love Man United fans.
But take Fernandez's last haul. He deserved it. He got a good goal. He was in the box, cross is sent in, and he scores. No dispute about that. His assist you can maybe dispute a little bit. It's a shot. It takes a bit of deflection. Cavani gets on the end of it. Bit fortunate, but by the rules, it's an assist. Okay, fair enough. But I mean, if he's playing like that every week, you can put your hands up and say, fair enough, with the way the game went, with the chances he was presented with, he deserves to come away from it. It's just, it's a very bitter pill to swallow when, like that, West Brom, everyone brings him in, everyone captains him. David Q misses a foul in the build-up, he gets a penalty, he comes away with 11 points. And then your differentials who you're hoping can pick up the slack and pick up the deficit, everything just seems to go away from it. I had a little bit of a rant in our WhatsApp group earlier on about it. Take this week with, Jack Grealish, great player, playing well. But, he takes a shot from 30 yards. It takes a bit of a deflection against West Ham and it goes in. Probably an XG of like 0.025, something, probably about 4% chance of going in, something like that. Ollie Watkins gets a penalty, misses it. 75% chance of it going in. Last minute, he's deemed offside in the build-up, offside because he's being fouled, which gets overlooked, denied a second penalty. And that's the same as last week where he's denied another obvious penalty. So it's just major swings from really poor refereeing decision. And, you can have all the stats brought up on your computer in the world. You can be looking at shots on target. You can be looking at XG. It means diddly squat when referees are just making completely terrible decisions each week, that account for so many point swings for these type of players. Because, you're trying to make up ground with these players you pick, and it seems to be going against them each week. Whereas the safer picks, I'm not taking anything away from anyone on them, but, previous seasons, it felt like you had multiple avenues into the points. It felt like you had other ways to make up the points, This season, it just seems like it's a one fit all kind of plan. Get in X, Y, and Z, and if you don't have those players, good luck to you. That's kind of how it feels this year.
Well, is there the argument not? I mean, there does seem to be a hell of a lot of penalties this season. I mean, there's one every game. Well, there's not, but it feels like there's one every game. And even if it's not a penalty, like we saw in the Liverpool game, there's a penalty. So is the argument? Is it? Should we not just be loading up on penalty takers?
Well, not if they're Ollie Watkins or Mitrovic or,
Or Maupay.
Yeah, or Maupay. Yeah, I mean, there's, to put it in perspective, Mitrovic has been benched for Fulham's last 2 games, and he has the same amount of points as Ollie Watkins, who has played 2 games and should arguably have had 3 penalties, one of which he took and missed. So Mitrovic, a player who hasn't even started 2 games, is matching Ollie Watkins. So, what can you do when things are happening?
What can you do? What can
you do? Yeah.
Brilliant. So another successful podcast has been and gone. I really enjoyed what the lads had to say this week, especially in regards to Fernandes. You could sense there was a bit of bitterness there, couldn't you? But, I think Matt explained himself pretty well. The fact that football is... It's not behaving, is it? And it's very different this year. And plus, we got that postponement with Newcastle and Villa, or Villa and Newcastle, I should say. There's a chance that could be going back on this game week. So don't sell all your players yet. But yeah, Corona, game weeks, injuries, penalties, all the sodding time. Who knows? My advice would be just to do it maybe only 2 weeks in advance if you're going to plan your team. I mean, the hop on, hop off stuff that I've learned this year, I mean, I'm not going to utilise that, am I? So, good luck, everyone. Game week 11. I may be plumping for Bruno, actually. I just think, well, I'll just get him in. If I can't judge when he's playing badly going to score, when can I just get him in? The other one is obviously, I mean, like, no one's talking about Mahrez again. Why not Mahrez? Get him in. Get them all in. I sound like a dodgy League 2 manager, don't I? That's probably what I am. Thanks for listening. Check me out on Twitter. Say hi. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy your beer. Or enjoy your wine. Or enjoy your sparkling water. Or enjoy whatever it is you do. Bye-bye. FPL, I wanna be champion. Or at least I'm gonna be top 10. Now there's this guy who plays the best at chess. If I beat him, that's relative success. Take it down now! Will I be Magnus? Or is this madness? Will I be Magnus? I got to know, I got to beat that Magnus.